Sometimes you need to make space for good things to come into your life, and I'm hoping most of those things are yarn. So I've been watching a lot of clean with me videos here on YouTube, and I thought you guys might want to watch me clean my yarn stash. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, it's not that messy. Yes, but it is very disorganized, and I don't know where anything is or what anything is. I've got a feisty 1-year-old who loves throwing things all over the floor. So here is what I have to work with. And upon closer inspection, you see I have some very nice and new yarns that are just being totally disregarded down here at the bottom. The 1-year-old Warpath. This box is full of abandoned projects and samples and some mystery skeins. Some super bulkies and some super messies. Scared baby skeins hiding in the corner. This box gives me the most anxiety. It's full of notions and needles, scraps and granny squares, just no organization whatsoever. These skeins look okay, but what's hiding in the back? Who knows? I think that's the hardest part about using these IKEA cubbies. They're so deep that skeins just kind of get lost back there. And lots of half-finished skeins that need to be rewound. I don't even know what's in this basket up here. So I'm gonna start by clearing all of it out, because that's how I like to start any organization project. I think I can plan my attack a lot better when I have a clean slate to work with. Now that I have this all cleared out, I can get to work on organizing my yarn stash, my notions, and my projects. First, I organized my projects into 3 little piles of either keep, unravel, or finish. I also love to turn worsted weight scraps into granny squares, so I've got a little granny square forever project that I'm working on and need to organize as well. I harvested abandoned needles and rounded up all of the messy yarn that I need to rewind. It was also at this point that I took advantage of the opportunity to actually wash my plastic bins that got all fuzzy. And boy, was this part satisfying. In order to tackle the issue of yarn getting lost in the back of these extra deep IKEA cubby holes, I employed a new rule. I won't put anything in the back unless it is visible from the front. So as long as I have 2 or more skeins of the same yarn, I'll pop one in the back and one in the front, and that way I can always know what's in the back of the cubby just by looking at it. I had a whole bunch of hooks and needles and notions that I needed to somehow figure out how to organize. Aren't these 35mm needles awesome? I also have an interchangeable needle set that unfortunately didn't come with a handy carrying case or anything, so I need to figure out a way to store these out of the reach of prying baby hands. This entire basket is full of yarns and projects that need to be unraveled and rewound, and for that I'm going to employ the help of my yarn ball winder. And if you've never used a yarn ball winder before, you thread the guide like so. Pop it underneath and just twist the yarn around that front coil so it slides like this. And you put the end in this little divot up here to hold the yarn. And as long as you have no tension on your yarn, you can just crank away. Now your once sloppy yarn is a neat little cake. So if you excuse me, I have a lot of winding to do. Here's a reminder of the before, and here's the after. I've got my super bulky yarns down here in a little basket next to Betty. In this top cubby, I put my cool toned yarns, so greens and blues. And every yarn you see, for the most part, has a matching buddy in the back, so there's no mystery yarn hiding in the back of the cubby. I used an S-hook to display these needles up here just because they're so pretty. These are called the Three Musketeers by Loopy Mango. In this next cubby, I was able to store all of my needles and hooks and notions. I've got my fixed circulars in the back here, and my interchangeable tips and cables in the middle. In the front, I just put miscellaneous notions like this needle felter, some scissors, and measuring tape. I have easy access to my two favorite crochet hooks right here, because I put the rest of my hooks in this little pencil case that just pops open. It's a very simple way to store my crochet hooks. And the remaining notions are just in this basket. In this box, I put all of my finished samples that are still relevant either for my blog or my shop, so I can reference them when people come to me with questions about a pattern, or if I need to take extra photos for social media. This box I reserved for pinks and reds and warm-toned yarns. In this box, I organized all of my scraps into little organza bags. This bag has my Granny Square Forever project in it, so all of my granny squares and worsted weight yarn scraps that need to be turned into granny squares. This bag has scraps that are not worsted weight, but I could still use for something else. And this bag is just knot yarn, so ribbons and laces and pom-poms. And lastly, this bag has some lace weight yarn that I kind of over-ambitiously bought and didn't have the patience to work with, so now I use it to stuff amigurumi projects. This is potentially my favorite find. I went to my local dollar store type thing, and I found these little flexible baskets. They have handles, and I thought they would be perfect to organize my whips. So I have a knitting whip in one and a crochet whip in the other. I can just grab this basket and take it anywhere I need to in the house to work on my next project. In this cubby, I put my most used and neutral colored worsted weight yarns. And down here is two kinds of miscellaneous yarn that I have a lot of. And way up here in these baskets, I put my color changing yarn cakes and all of my solid worsted weight yarn cakes. And with another S-hook on the side here, I just kind of hid my more unsightly notions like these looms and these gigantic needles. So I hope you enjoyed watching me organize my yarn stash. If you have any crafty storage tips, please share them in the comments. I would love to hear them, and I'm sure everyone else would too. See you next time. Bye!